The chlorine stung my eyes like a fresh betrayal, but I couldn't look away from the rippling surface where Jose's shadow danced just inches from mine. "You ever wonder," he whispered, his voice cutting through the humid afternoon like a knife through silk, "if jumping in means you'll never climb out the same?" And in that suspended breath, as his hand brushed my thigh under the water, accidental, or was it? I felt the world tilt, my straight-laced life cracking open like the pool tiles beneath us. It was the summer of 2015 in Elmwood Heights, that cookie-cutter suburb outside Chicago where every lawn was mowed to military precision and every driveway boasted a sensible SUV. I just turned 28, fresh off a soul-sucking breakup with my college sweetheart, Emily, who decided my emotional unavailability was code for not wanting kids by 30. She wasn't wrong. I'd been coasting on autopilot, punching the clock at my graphic design gig downtown, nursing IPAs at dive bars on weekends, and pretending the ache in my chest was just heartburn from too many late-night tacos. Douglas Hale, reliable, unremarkable, the guy who fixed neighbors' leaky faucets without asking for a beer in return. That's who I was, until Jose Ramirez moved in next door. He rolled up in a beat-up '98 Mustang convertible, top down, mariachi blasting from the speakers like a declaration of war on our cul-de-sac silence. Latino, lean as a switchblade, with skin like caramelized sugar and eyes that held the kind of fire you only see in old Scorsese films. 26, he said later, a freelance photographer who ditched LA for cheaper sunsets and fewer earthquakes. His house, once owned by the widow Hargrove, God rest her judgmental soul, had sat empty for a year, weeds choking the rose bushes like forgotten regrets. But Jose, he attacked it with a vengeance. Lime green trim on the shutters, succulents spilling over the porch rails, and a above-ground pool plunked in the backyard like he'd smuggled it from some Coachella afterparty. I first noticed him hauling boxes in a tank top that clung like a second skin, sweat tracing paths down his collarbone. Our eyes met over the fence, mine curious, his appraising, and he flashed a grin that hit like a gut punch. "Hey, neighbor, you got a stepladder I could borrow? This fence is taller than my ex's walls." I laughed, because what else do you do when a stranger disarms you like that? Handed him the ladder, watched him balance on it like a tightrope walker, and by the time he climbed down, we'd swapped life stories over lukewarm Coronas on my porch. He was out and proud, he said casually, like mentioning the weather. "LA's a bubble, man. Here, feels like I'm crashing a family reunion uninvited." I nodded, sipping my beer, feeling the first flicker of something unnamed stir in my gut. Envy, admiration, or just the heat playing tricks? That was Tuesday. By Friday, he'd invited half the block to his housewarming. Barbecue ribs smoking on a grill he'd welded himself, reggaeton pulsing low enough not to summon the HOA Gestapo. I showed up with a six-pack and a 6-year-old niece in tow. Lily, because my sister bailed last minute and guilt-tripped me into babysitting. Jose scooped her up like she'd been his shadow all life, twirling her until she squealed, her pigtails whipping like tiny tornadoes. "Uncle Dougie, he's magic," she declared later, ketchup smeared on her cheek. Magic. Yeah, that tracked. As the sun dipped, painting the sky in bruised purple hues, the crowd thinned. Lily conked out on a lawn chair, and I lingered, helping stack plates, our arms brushing in the twilight. "Pool's open till midnight," he said, nodding toward the glowing blue oval behind the hedge. "Wanna test the waters? Promise no cannonballs." His eyes locked on mine, That grin again, half challenge, half invitation. My pulse kicked up, unbidden, like I'd mainlined espresso. Sure, I heard myself say, voice steadier than I felt. Why not? We changed in his guest room, the air thick with the scent of fresh paint and sandalwood candles. I kept my board shorts loose, towel slung over my shoulder like armor. He emerged in neon trunks that hugged his hips like they were custom-made, tattoos snaking up his ribs, a compass rose blooming into feathers, inked in some dive shop in Tijuana. He told me once. Points north when I'm lost, he explained, tracing it with a finger. Lost. The word hung there as we padded out to the deck, the night air cooling the sweat on my neck. The water was shockingly warm, a silky embrace that swallowed us whole. I dove in first, surfacing with a gasp, the world muffled and reborn. Jose slipped in after, silent as a shadow, his entry barely rippling the surface. Then he was there, treading beside me, close enough that our knees bumped, sending sparks up my spine. We talked easy stuff at first, his shots of Burning Man raves, my botched attempts at urban sketching in Millennium Park. Laughter bubbled up, freer than I'd felt in months. But as the stars pricked the sky like distant promises, the conversation turned. You ever feel like you're living someone else's script? I asked, floating on my back, the water cradling my weight. He hummed, considering, his silhouette dark against the fence lights. Every damn day. Grew up in East LA, Catholic guilt thicker than the smog. Dad wanted a mechanic, Mom a doctor. I picked a camera and a closet door I kicked down at 18. Best and worst decision ever. His voice dipped, raged. Worst because it cost me family dinners. Best because authenticity, you know, tastes like freedom, even if it burns. I swallowed, the water lapping at my ears. Authenticity. Emily had called me a chameleon once, blending into whatever room I entered. Work Doug. Party Doug. Safe Doug. Who was Pool Doug? The one whose gaze kept drifting to the curve of Jose's shoulder. The way droplets clung to his lashes like tears he refused to shed? Yeah, I murmured. Burns, all right. His hand found mine under the surface then, not grabbing, just resting, fingers interlacing like puzzle pieces slotting home. Time fractured. My breath hitched, heart hammering a rhythm I'd never danced to. Gay? Bi? Hell? Labels felt like straitjackets in that moment. It was just him. Warm, alive, pulling me under without a word. I didn't pull away. Instead, I turned, our faces aligning in the glow, breaths mingling in the steam rising off the water. And that's when it shattered. Headlights sliced the dark. My truck, forgotten in his drive. No, not headlights. A car door slamming, footsteps crunching gravel. Doug? That you? My brother's voice, slurred with bourbon, cut through like shattered glass. Ryan, 32 and twice divorced, crashing my night because family sticks together. Bro, he rounded the fence, beer bottle in hand, eyes bleary but sharpening on us, on our joined hands, the too close proximity. Jose released me like I'd scalded him, splashing back with a forced chuckle. Hey, man, you the reinforcements. Ryan grunted, oblivious or uncaring, collapsing onto a lounge chair and cracking another brew from the cooler. Nah, just checking on my little bro. Mom's been on my ass about you moping post Emily. He rambled then, work gripes, custody battles, while I treaded water, the spell broken, cold seeping into my bones despite the heat. We climbed out eventually, towels snapping like flags of surrender. Ryan clapped Jose on the back too hard. Nice setup, Ramirez. Don't let this stiff turn you queer. And stumbled home, leaving me to mutter apologies under my breath. Jose just smiled, sad at the edges. No sweat, Douglas. Water's always there tomorrow. But as I lay in bed that night, ceiling fan whirring like accusatory whispers, I knew tomorrow had already drowned me. The next week blurred into a fever dream of stolen glances over the fence. Mornings, I'd catch him watering his succulents, tank top riding up to reveal that tattoo, and I'd wave from my kitchen window, coffee mug burning my palm. Afternoons, he'd text, yeah. We swapped numbers that night, a blurry shot of a squirrel raiding his bird feeder, captioned local wildlife plotting my demise. I'd fire back with a doodle of the culprit in a tiny bandana, and we'd laugh over porch beers as the sun set, conversations dipping deeper. His first love, a boy named Marco who'd ghosted him after prom. My fear of turning into dad, all routine and no fire. Fire. That's what Jose ignited, slow and sure. One evening, after a brutal day sketching logos for a pharma-giant peddling pills for feelings I couldn't name, I found him on my doorstep, Polaroid in hand. Evidence, he said, thrusting it at me. It was me, mid-laugh from the barbecue, Lily on my shoulders, unguarded joy cracking my face. Proof you're more than the guy next door. I stared, throat tight. No one had seen me like that since. Ever. We ended up in my living room. Vinyl spinning Springsteen, Jose's pick. Thunder Road for the escape vibes. Wine flowed, red and reckless, loosening tongues and limbs. He leaned in during a quiet bridge, lips brushing my jaw. Not a kiss, but a question. My body answered before my brain could protest, hand cupping his neck, pulling him closer. It was clumsy, urgent, teeth clashing, stubble scraping, the taste of Merlot and possibility. We tumbled to the couch, shirts shed like old skins, his fingers mapping my chest like uncharted territory. Tell me to stop, he gasped, eyes searching mine. Douglas, say it. I didn't. Instead, I whispered his name like a prayer, arching into his touch as he trailed south, breath hot against my navel. It was revelation, every nerve alight, the world narrowing to the press of his mouth, the slide of skin on skin. No labels, no fences, just us, tangled and true. Afterward, spent and sticky, we lay there, his head on my chest, heartbeat sinking like a metronome. This okay? He murmured, vulnerability cracking his voice. More than, I lied, because the doubt was already gnawing. Ryan's joke echoing. Mom's Bible verses about the path less traveled being a dead end. The mirror reflecting a man I barely recognized. But okay, it was electric, addictive. We carved out pockets of us. Dawn runs through the nature preserve, where he'd snap candids of dew-kissed ferns and I'd steal kisses behind oaks. Midnight swims, his pool a secret cathedral where confessions floated like leaves. I think I'm falling, I admitted one night, water lapping our confessions. He surfaced, grinning fierce. Good. 'Cause I've been submerged since day one, falling. Yeah. But gravity pulls hard, and Elmwood Heights had hooks in deep. Ryan cornered me at the next block party. Breath reeking of Bud Light. Heard you're thick as thieves with the new guy. Careful, Dougie. Birds of a feather and all that rainbow shit. I brushed it off, but the seed sprouted thorns. Then Mom called, her voice all saccharine concern. Emily's engaged, honey, to a lawyer. Stable. You seeing anyone? Stable. The word choked me. Jose sensed the shift, though he played it cool. Talk to me, he'd say, fingers lacing mine during movie nights, his pics, indie flicks with queer leads that mirrored us too close for comfort. I'd deflect with jokes, but the walls crept up, until the betrayal hit like a rogue wave. It was Labor Day weekend, the neighborhood alive with flags and fireworks prep. Jose had a gig shooting a wedding in Milwaukee, back Sunday night. Miss me? He'd teased, kissing me goodbye in the driveway, hidden by the Mustang's shadow. Like air, I'd shot back, meaning it. Saturday blurred. Lily's soccer game, where I zoned out cheering. Mind on him. Grocery run, where the cashiers have a nice day. Sir felt like mockery. By evening, boredom gnawed, so I fired up Netflix, cracking a beer. That's when Ryan texted. A link, no context. Curiosity clicked it, a grainy video, time-stamped last night, uploaded to some sleazy forum called Suburban Secrets. My stomach dropped. It was Jose, alright, laughing in a dive bar, arms slung around a guy with a man bun and tribal ink, lips locked in a kiss that went from playful to pornographic in seconds. The caption, LA import shows Midwest how it's done. Tag your exes. Comments piled like vultures. Slutty spick. Bet he charges by the hour. Betrayal burned. Hot and humiliating. Was this the gig? A side hustle in lies? I slammed my phone down, chest heaving, the room spinning like the pool after too many laps. I drove to his place blind, fists clenched on the wheel, tears blurring taillights. The Mustang wasn't there. Good. Coward, but the porch light glowed like an accusation. I paced the lawn, gravel biting my sneakers, replaying every touch, every "I miss you" text from his phone. How many others? Was I just the suburban pit stop? Sunday dawned gray, rain pattering like suppressed sobs. He pulled in at noon, tires crunching, oblivious until he saw me on the steps, arms crossed like a barricade. Doug? Shit. You're soaked. Come inside. I didn't budge. Saw the video. Wedding shoot. Huh? Or just another notch. His face crumpled, color draining like ink in water. What video, Doug? Listen. But I was raging. Words spilling venom. Don't gaslight me, Jose. I trusted you. Fell for your authenticity bullshit while you're out there playing the field like I'm some experiment. He stepped closer, rain slicking his hair, voice breaking. It's fake, man. Edited clip from a party last year. Some asshole from LA doxed me after I blocked his creepy ass. I reported it, but these things spread like herpes. The wedding was real. Check my camera bag. I deflated, the fight leaching out with the downpour. Fake? God. I was an idiot. Jealousy twisting truth into knots. But the damage lingered, raw and exposed. Why didn't you tell me about exes like that? The baggage. Because, he said softly, cupping my face, thumbs brushing tears I hadn't admitted. You're not baggage. You're home. We stumbled inside then, dripping and desperate, collapsing onto his bed in a tangle of apologies and need. It was slower this time, reverent, kisses like mending stitches, bodies aligning like forgiven sins. "I love you," he breathed against my neck, the words a lifeline. "Love." I echoed it, tasting freedom in the syllables, even as fear whispered of the world outside. But the world doesn't pause for poolside epiphanies. Monday brought the HOA meeting Mrs. Hargrove's ghost in the form of Karen Wilkins, clipboard queen, cornering me in the community center. "Mr. Hale, we've had complaints about certain activities next door. Immoral ones." Her eyes narrowed, voice honeyed poison. "Elmwood has standards. Families." Ryan slouched in the back, smirked like he'd lit the match. Word spread, whispers at the gas station, side eyes at the diner. Jose shrugged it off, posting defiant shots of our runs on Instagram. "Haters gonna gate, but love don't discriminate." Me, I internalized it, the straitjacket tightening. Work suffered, designs bleeding into blandness. Boss pulling me aside. "Everything all right at home? Hale, you seem distracted." Distracted. Haunted. More like. The climax crashed in October, leaves turning trader red like warning flags. Ryan threw a guy's night, poker and pork rinds in his garage, a testosterone bunker. I almost bailed, but brotherhood guilt dragged me. Beers flowed, stories slurred, until the topic turned. "So, Dougie, that Ramirez dude. You too." "You know?" Laughter erupted, crude and cutting jabs about fence hopping and swimming lessons. I froze, cards slipping from numb fingers. "Knock it off," I muttered, but they pressed. Ryan leading the charge. "Come on, bro. It's a phase, right? Emily was the real deal. This, just blue balls rebellion." Something snapped. I stood, chair scraping like a scream. "It's not a phase, you assholes. It's me. Jose is me, us. Realer than any of your failed marriages." Silence. Then Ryan scoff. "Jesus, Doug. You're throwing away everything for a spic photographer? Mom's rolling in her grave already." Grave. The word ignited. I stormed out, engine roaring to life, straight to Jose's. He was editing shots in his dim-lit office, screens glowing like altars. "Pack a bag," I said, breathless. "We're getting out. Road trip. Now." His eyes widened, shock, then spark. "Where to?" "Anywhere but here. California, your LA bubble. Or just drive till the fences end." We hit the highway at dusk, Mustang purring under dual weights, windows down, wind whipping regrets into the rearview. First stop, Indiana Dunes, where we hiked bluffs under a harvest moon, hands linked against the chill. "This your grand escape?" he teased, but his voice trembled with hope. "Ours," I corrected, pulling him down to the sand, making love under stars that didn't judge. Miles unspooled, Ohio motels with neon vacancies, Kentucky bourbon trails where we danced in honky-tonks like fools. Conflicts simmered, my phone buzzing with Mom's voicemails. "Come home, son. We can fix this." Ryan's texts. "Don't be stupid. Bro." Jose's past clawed too. A call from Marco, the ghost ex, slurring apologies and invitations. "Block him," I urged. jealousy flaring anew. Or what? Trust me or don't. We fought in a Waffle House at 3 a.m. Words like grease fires. But dawn brought makeup sex in the booth's shadow. Forgiveness sticky sweet. By Nevada, the desert stripped us bare. Vast and unforgiving, mirroring the ache. What if it doesn't work? I confessed one night, campfire crackling. The world, us it stacked. He traced my palm, compass tattoo peeking from his sleeve. Then we navigate. Together. Humans messy, but worth the burn. We landed in Joshua Tree, that otherworldly sprawl of twisted trees and endless sky, renting an Airstream trailer under rock formations like ancient guardians. There, in the quiet, we built, him shooting portfolios of yucca blooms and my sketches of his profile against sunsets. Love deepened, roots twisting through cracks, lazy mornings with coffee and crosswords, evenings debating Scorsese versus Spielberg, nights where bodies spoke what words fumbled. Betrayal echoed faint now, a scar not a wound. Ryan called once, voice cracked, saw your posts. Mom's. Adjusting. Slowly. You happy? Yeah, I said, Jose's arm around my waist. Finally, humanistic, that forgiveness not explosion, growth in the grit. Winter crept, but we stayed, the desert our reset. One February Eve, snow dusting the sands like improbable grace. Jose knelt by the fire pit, ring glinting simple silver, engraved with a compass rose. North's wherever you are, he said, eyes shining. Marry me? Not legal here yet, but us. Tears blurred the flames. Yes, I choked, pulling him up, kissing him fierce under that freak snowfall. Not fairy tale perfect, fights over dishes, job hunts in Palm Springs, the world's side eyes lingering like sand in shoes. But humanistic triumph, two men, flawed and fierce, choosing each other over the script. Back in Elmwood, we visit. Awkward Thanksgivings where Mom passes the yams without sermons. Ryan grunts approvals over football. Lily calls us the adventure uncles, demanding pool stories. And that pool still glows blue on humid nights, a portal to the slide that changed everything. Forever's a long swim. But with Jose beside me, hand in mine, I'm diving deep,